A man got to have a code.
What does Aristotle have to do with The Wire? Well, in this video, I'll show that The Wire is really a philosophical argument about why good people can't stay good in broken systems, and that Aristotle's virtue ethics are key to understanding why. The Wire explores how individuals clash with the systems around them. Police, drug dealers, teachers, politicians, everyone is shaped by and often in conflict with their institutions. This tension is one of the show's key themes, but it can't be properly understood without understanding Aristotle's view on what it means to be good. So who was Aristotle? Well, Aristotle was an ancient Greek,
I'm not even Greek.
actually Greek, philosopher who wrote extensively on what it means to be good. He believed that every person in every profession has a telos, a purpose, and that the good life is one where we strive to achieve that purpose. Ideally, systems and institutions are supposed to help shape our character so that we can live out our telos. By looking at The Wire through Aristotle's lens, we can better understand why it's so hard to be good in a world like this. So to start with, in The Wire, what even is morality? Well, before getting into virtue ethics, it's worth understanding a couple of the main approaches that philosophers have used to understand morality. Firstly, there's good based on the outcomes of actions, or utilitarianism. This approach says that something is good if it maximizes the positive outcomes for the greatest number of people of any action, putting aside just for the moment how you would measure positive. Now, this may sound pretty good, but utilitarian approaches can disregard the human costs of actions, taking an ends justifies the means type of approach. In The Wire, one example of this is when Bunny Colvin justifies Hamsterdam. As long as there was a net positive outcome, this action could be considered good. But this approach can justify almost anything if the numbers add up, raising the questions who decides what costs are acceptable and who decides who benefits.
District level. I write off a few blocks in a few places, but I save the rest.
No offense, but you're like the blind man and the elephant. It's a lot bigger than what you got your hand on. You just can't see it.
See what?
A great village of pain, and you're the mayor. Where's your drinking water? Where's your toilets? Your heat, your electricity? Where's the needle truck? The condom distribution? The drug treatment intake? Half these people are down on their feet, and the other half's gonna catch what's killing them.
Look, they ain't no worse off than when they was all over the map. Now they just in one place is all.
And that place is hell.
Another approach is to look at morality based on rules. This approach is called deontology and looks at a duty or rules-based ethical approach. This view says that certain actions are right or wrong in and of themselves, regardless of the consequences, as long as they follow certain rules. For example, lying is wrong, not because of its effects, but because it violates a moral rule. Immanuel Kant, probably the most famous deontologist, argued this is because you should only act according to the rules that you would want everyone else to follow, universal laws. If everybody lied, then trust would break down, so lying is wrong. The focus here isn't on the consequences of any action, like utilitarianism, where you can potentially try and rationalize your way into justifying anything, but on sticking to what's right. When Daniel sacrifices his career and refuses to play the stats game, he justifies this by explaining how dishonesty by those involved in the police force has ruined policing, while acknowledging that his individual actions in these circumstances won't have a positive effect.
So now they want me to go.
Well, the way she expressed it is that she wanted you to stay if you could come to your senses.
Come to my senses. She wants me to juke the stats for Carcetti this quarter and the next. Hide the crime, get him elected as governor, and make her the mayor.
So do it. Burrell juked them before you. Warren Frazier before him. And after you go on, Rawls or whoever will juke them. So what?
I'll swallow a lie when I have to. I've swallowed a few big ones lately. But the stat games, that lie, it's what ruined this department. Shining up shit and calling it gold so majors become colonels and mayors become governors. Pretending to do police work while one generation fucking trains the next town not to do the job. And then...
Note that Daniel acknowledges the many lies that he has already had to swallow, each one probably justified in the name of greater good, i.e. a utilitarian justification. But eventually he reaches a point where the utilitarian approach cannot be justified to him anymore. There's a reason why they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And it's worth noting that through both of these approaches, utilitarianism and deontology, there are many variants and combinations. But for this video, I want to focus on another way of thinking about what it means to be good. Because when Aristotle talks about what it is for someone to be good, he doesn't start with the rules or the outcomes. He asks, what kind of person should I be? For him, morality is about developing good character or virtues through practice, so that doing the right thing comes naturally as part of who you are as a matter of habit. For him, the ultimate goal of being good is eudaimonia. This is a Greek word that doesn't have a direct translation into English, but ultimately it means a flourishing or fulfilling life. And to reach eudaimonia, we have to cultivate our virtues: courage, honesty, working hard, justice, and each one of these virtues is a balance between two extremes. Courage is the midpoint between recklessness and cowardice. And the way you get there is through practice, building habits until goodness becomes instinctive and you no longer have to try to be courageous or honest or working hard. It just happens because of who you are. Aristotle believed that every person and every role has a purpose. To be good is to live in accordance with that purpose and develop the virtues associated with fulfilling it. So where other theories might try to justify actions based on outcomes or rules, for Aristotle, ultimately, it comes down to who you are as a person. Living a good life means striving to fulfill your purpose and practicing the virtues that make that possible. So, how does one be a good police officer? In the show, many characters acknowledge that there is such a thing as natural police. This is a very Aristotle way of describing something, i.e., there exist people who are just good police officers. It is a part of their being, a part of their nature. Note how this is slightly different from saying someone does good police work. This is saying it is something about them as individuals. This is one of the distinguishing details of how Aristotle viewed things. Some people have it, some don't. And it should be the role of police to use self-reflection, their reason, wisdom, and intellect to train themselves into becoming natural police. So, what does it mean to be a natural police officer? Well, in The Wire, it's your instincts for what seems out of place, persistence, patience, knowledge of the streets, including who your informants are, and knowing who the real players are. Contrast Carver and Herc, imagining a scenario with how they're going to be able to take down the entire Barksdale organization by intimidating the currently escaping Bodie into cracking, while Bunk and McNulty talk through how hard it is to get a single witness to go against Barksdale.
Long fucking drive. Me and you drawing another shit detail.
This ain't a shit detail.
No? I'm in upper fucking Marlboro, Maryland, and still going south. Look, another cow.
Use your imagination. This little shitbird, having already been whipped good by us once, he sees us, right? And he starts crying like a little bitch, because he knows that we drove all the way down to Prince George's for more of his ass, right? Imagine we jack him up, toss him into a small room, and tell him that Detective Mahone is near dead from the sucker punch. It's like, no shit. Drunk old fuck suddenly slipped into a coma. And now the commissioner and Mrs. Mahone are at his bedside in the ICU. And we've been ordered to come down here, rip off his scrotum, put it in a jar, and drive it back to Baltimore so it can sit with the fucking bowling trophies behind the bar at the FOP Lodge. All right? After which, fuck nuts stops whimpering long enough to just start giving people up. Whoever. Stringer Bell, Avon Barksdale.
Yeah?
Yeah. Little prick turns on everybody. And we break the case wide open.
Cool.
Right?
So from all them hand-to-hands, nobody flipped?
No, that part of town, Barksdale, carries more weight than we do. Just like all these fucking homicides. Witnesses lying, witnesses paid off, witnesses backing up on their story.
Can you blame them?
Not really. Every now and then we visit the projects. They live there.
For Aristotle, virtues aren't just internal qualities. They're shown in how we act and relate to the world. Being good police isn't just about having skills or intelligence, but about applying them to pursue real justice. Not just stats or appearances. It's about being connected to and a part of their communities. And Aristotle distinguishes between different kinds of virtue. It's not just about having courage or being just. He argues that to be truly virtuous, you also need phronesis, practical wisdom. This is the ability to judge in real situations what the right thing to do is and how to do it. Kima epitomizes what it means to be real police when she refuses to ID Weebay as her shooter. She shows that the idea of the justice system relies not just on catching criminals, but how the criminals are caught. She shows phronesis in action, refusing to cut corners and telling Bunk one of the best lines in the show.
An ID of both your shooters would play a whole lot easier come trial.
You know, sometimes things just gotta play hard.
Carver goes through the journey throughout the show to become good police. He gets mentored by Daniels and Bunny Colvin. Contrast his growth with Herc, the police officer who ended up working as a PI for the defense attorney Levy without changing anything about himself as a person.
You're a good man, Sergeant. You got good instincts. As far as I can tell, you're a decent supervisor. But from where I sit, you ain't shit when it come to policing. Don't take it personal. It ain't just you. It's all our young police. Whole generation, y'all. Now, you think about it. You've been here over a year now, Carver. You got nobody looking out for you. Nobody willing to talk to you. That about sum it up? And that's a problem. And I didn't think there was any way I was ever gonna get my head around it, but then Dozeman gets shot for some bullshit. And that's when I about reached my limit. And that's when the idea of the free zone of Amsterdam come to me, because this drug thing, this ain't police work. No, it ain't. I mean, I can send any fool with a badge and a gun up on them corners and jack a crew and grab vials. But policing, I mean, you call summer war. And pretty soon, everybody gonna be running around acting like warriors. They gonna be running around on a damn crusade, storming corners, slapping on cuffs, racking up body counts. And when you at war, you need a fucking enemy. And pretty soon, damn near everybody on every corner is your fucking enemy. And soon the neighborhood that you're supposed to be policing, that's just occupied territory. You follow this?
I think so.
Look here, the point I'm making, Carver, is this. Soldiering and policing, they ain't the same thing. And before we went and took the wrong turn and started up with these war games, the cop walked a beat, and he learned that post. And if there were things that happened up on that post, whether they be a rape, a robbery, a shooting, he had people out there helping them, feeding them information. But every time I come to you, my DEU sergeant, for information, to find out what's going on out there in them streets, all that came back was some bullshit. You had your stats, you had your arrests, you had your seizures. But don't none of that amount to shit when you're talking about protecting the neighborhood now. Do it?
But what does the institution of police want? Well, above everything, it wants stats, numbers, arrests. The only way to communicate up the chain to City Hall, the press, and the public that they're doing their job is through these numbers. Crime stats become the measure of virtue. But what's actually being measured? Well, not actual crime reduction, not harm reduction, not community trust or justice, just the quantity and types of arrests, the visible outputs. The underlying causes and cycles that lead to crime are out of the scope and budget of the police force. Their job is to deal with the symptoms of the wider malaise of Baltimore and say that things are getting better. As Lester Freeman says,
You follow drugs, you get drug addicts and drug dealers. But you start to follow the money, and you don't know where the fuck it's gonna take you.
but no one in command wants to follow the money. Why? Because following the money means they might find something they don't want to find. Leadership often blocks or limits investigations because of this. Real justice of finding those who are profiting off crime, corruption of those who actually have power and abusing it, this is not what the institution of police wants to find. Institutions, at their best, should enable their members to live out their purpose, their telos, by encouraging the right virtues through training and example. The police force instead trains its officers not for justice or for courage, but for stats, for arrests, and to be soldiers in the drug war. For Aristotle, a good police officer is one who lives up to their purpose of policing, protecting the community, seeking justice, and showing practical wisdom, phronesis. A good system should form these habits and virtues. But what happens when the system doesn't do this? Well, an almost complete alienation between the police and the communities they serve. We see that actual natural police are often punished by the system when they act according to their natural police instincts and ways. Lester Freeman is introduced to us after having spent 13 years in the pawn shop unit and is eventually kicked off the force. Daniels has to sacrifice his career for his refusal to continue to juke the stats. When a system rewards only appearances, being good means that you have to rebel against the system itself. The tragedy of The Wire is that often, to be a good police officer by Aristotle's standards, you often have to become a bad police officer by the institution's standards. You face a choice: resign yourself to the system, rage against it and accept the cost, or leave entirely. But it isn't just the formal organizations that show how difficult it is for individuals to meet Aristotle's idea of a good person. The Wire shows us the similarities between the state systems that exist, such as the police, and the non-state systems like the drug organizations. No less hierarchical, these systems also enforce virtues and norms for how individuals should act. And in many cases, more credence is given to the drug organization's ideal of good than any other.
Can I? Corner boys, huh? Hey, let me ask y'all something. You know, you help us hone in on this, and maybe we do a little better job with you in here. What makes a good corner boy?
Keep your eyes open.
Keep the count straight.
Don't trust nobody.
Nah, you gotta have one boy to watch
You don't got no respect in the hood. You ain't got nothing.
You got no respect, you ain't got no money.
You ain't got no money.
If you stupid in the hood, you get killed.
You ain't got no
That's the
power. You
only
ain't got
way.
nothing.
We can see that even in primary school, the next generation can recite the rules of how to live the good life according to the game. To many, the system's definition of virtue, the characteristics of how to succeed in the game, are given more importance than any other. And these organizations are arguably even worse when it comes to punishing the individuals within it. Beyond the risk of random violence that most within the game face, even those who follow the rules and do everything they are supposed to are not guaranteed to succeed. That's because the game is rigged. No individual within the game can succeed by adhering to certain characteristics because there is no set of characteristics that can consistently be successful. Bodie exhibits all the right qualities. He never comes up short on account. He's fierce to the point of killing a childhood friend. Eventually, though, he realizes the hypocrisy and no-win nature of the game. Being a good drug dealer doesn't protect you from the violence, and the loyalty that the organizations ask of him, the same loyalty that meant killing his own friend, would never be returned to him.
I ain't no snitch.
Didn't say you were.
Been doing this a long time. I ain't never said nothing to no cop. I feel old. I've been out there since I was 13. I ain't never fucked up a count, never stole off a package, never did some shit that I wasn't told to do. I've been straight up. But what come back? You think if I get jammed up on some shit, they'd be like, all right, yeah, Bodie been there. Bodie hang tough. We got his pay lawyer, we got a bail. They want me to stand with him, right? Where the fuck they at when they supposed to be standing by us? I mean, when shit goes bad and it's hell to pay, where they at? This game is rigged, man. We like them little bitches on the chessboard.
Pawns.
Even those at the top try, unsuccessfully, to try to change the rules of the game. Stringer Bell and Prop Joe attempt to redefine the telos of their organizations, pushing for a virtue that's more business and profit oriented and less about the violence. But their failure shows the power of institutional inertia. The system punishes those who try to change its definitions of virtue. Both Stringer Bell and Prop Joe fail because those who they try to work with, Avon and Marlowe, ultimately have different views about their own purpose and reason for existing. For them, the money is not the purpose. Marlowe wants to wear the crown and be the king, accepting that wearing the crown means you'll lose it.
You know it ain't gonna stop at this.
I don't want it to stop. My bark's still weak today. And he ain't working with the ammunition I got.
No doubt you carrying a full clip. But what you gonna do when you sitting at the head of the table? Once you there, you got to hold it down.
Sound like one of them good problems.
Yeah. Prison and graveyards, full of boys who wore the crown.
Point is, they wore it. It's my turn to wear it now.
Avon doesn't want to try and be something he isn't.
War, man, we passed this bullshit.
Yeah, I forgot. You know, I knew I forgot something. We the Trump brothers.
Man, you don't give this shit up? We're gonna turn everything we built to shit.
The Chump brothers. You know what the difference is between me and you? I bleed red. You bleed green. What you been building for us? Huh? You know what? I look at you these days, you know what I see? I see a man without a country. Not hard enough for this right here. And maybe, just maybe, not smart enough for them out there.
Not hard enough.
And both Avon and Marlowe fall as well. Avon goes to jail, and Marlowe loses his name and kingdom. Either way, though, the game continued regardless of what any of the individuals within it tried to do. Maybe the only character who could have said to end up successful was Slim Charles. Not loyal to any one organisation or group, ready to back down when necessary, he adapted, moved and survived, embodying the only kind of virtue that the system really rewarded: pragmatism and flexibility. But would Aristotle say that that's really virtue? For Aristotle, virtue meant flourishing according to your nature and fulfilling your purpose as a person, a sort of moral excellence. For Slim Charles, virtue is doing what it took to stay alive. And it seems like either way, he's going to end up in jail or dead. Hardly what Aristotle would call a successful life. We see the same pattern play out across every institution The Wire examines. Whether it's teachers reduced to teaching to the test, journalists chasing headlines and clicks instead of the truth, the drug trade's hypocritical rules demanding loyalty but never returning it, or politicians obsessed with the next election rather than real change. Each system rewards the appearance of virtue rather than the real thing. The purpose of these institutions has been hollowed out, making it nearly impossible for individuals to actually achieve their supposed telos. Aristotle believed that institutions were supposed to nurture virtue, that a good city, a good school, or a good police department would help people to develop their moral characters. In The Wire, the opposite is true. These systems corrupt and grind down the individuals who wish to serve it. By looking through the lens of Aristotle's virtue ethics, we see that the struggle isn't just about individual actions, a common focus of other moral philosophies like utilitarianism or deontology. It's about the very character of people these systems shape, and the almost impossible conditions that they face if they want to be good. And how can we be good people when challenged by the systems that surround us? The Wire doesn't leave us with an easy answer. In the end, we have to decide for ourselves the kind of people we want to be, what our purpose is, and the virtues that will help us achieve our telos. Whether we're forced to choose what we're willing to sacrifice, and whether it's our turn to give a fuck, that decision is on us.